Happy New Year in February, but it is what it is. This is my first video of the new year. Those of you guys, or those of you who follow me on the gram and are subscribed to parischico.com, you guys know what's been going on. You know, I got back from California, I had COVID, and it's just been kind of rough getting back into the swing of things. But your girl is back with a new video, and I'm gonna give you the real tea on being an expat in Paris. And I think it's kind of fitting since recently, like the second season of Emily in Paris was released. So I definitely think I need to lean in on what it's really like being an expat here, especially being a Black woman expat, because, you know, for Black women, it's just a bit different. Another reason why I wanted to do this video is because I had two clients move here at the same time. It was so ironic. They moved here at the same time last year around, I want to say like September. Still obviously in the middle of the pandemic. So they get here. It was rocky for one of them, and for the other, it was just, I mean, my girl has been having a hard time. It's been really rough. It's been really rough for her. And they're both from the East Coast. One of them, the one that's having a hard time, she's actually from New York. And it's so funny because we had brunch the other day, and she's like, look, I'm from New York, and I thought New York was hard, but this is the next level. And so, you know, we're at brunch, and I definitely like to take I like to go out with the girls, you know, after they've kind of settled in, to know, like, you know, how are things going for you? Are you liking the city? Things like that. And so the one where things were, you know, a little bit rocky, but not horrible, she was like, I like it here. There are some things I'm a little annoyed about, but for the most part, I want to stick it out. And then the second one, the one from New York, and she's like, girl, I don't know. So I definitely want to, I guess this video is to kind of point out some things that could be expected when becoming an expat in Paris. Okay, so first things first, housing. Paris is very similar to New York, whereas, well, as far as housing is, well, they have a lot of similarities, but especially with regards to housing. Housing is expensive here, and it can be the criteria could be very strenuous, and it's just a difficult process. It's a difficult process if you haven't kind of learned how to navigate the system, or you don't have someone to help you navigate the system. So finding housing is difficult. Landlords, they're sometimes reluctant to give apartments or rent apartments to foreigners for various reasons. If you don't have a permanent work contract here, it could be difficult for you to get an apartment. If you don't have a ton of money, you know, that can be, you know, an issue as well. I went through, well, actually my first apartment, I got through someone, or I found out through someone I was studying at Sorbonne with. And that's another way people find apartments here, through word of mouth, if you have a network. But obviously, if you're just moving here, you don't really have a network, or most people don't have a network in place. That's why it's really good to have a liaison. That's why expat coaches are good, especially if they're placed in the city that you want to move to. So I found my first apartment through someone this was actually my second apartment, I take it back. So my second apartment I got through someone I was in class with at La Sorbonne. She was returning to Italy, and she was like, you should take this place. And it was great. It was in the 18th studio, and I absolutely loved it. But I wanted to move closer to where I worked when I did get a work contract, so I moved to where I am now. And the place that I have now, I went through a broker. I just was not going to deal with the hassle. But then again, also consider the fact that the place that I have now, I was already in Paris like 3 years, so it was kind of easier for me to navigate the system. I had kind of learned what's to be expected. I also had some help. I had a good friend here who had been here for 8 years, and she was like, okay, this is what you need to do. So yes, housing can be very difficult. Another thing that can make your transition, difficult is the French. I'm gonna keep it real. Sometimes the French are difficult. They are polite, they are very mannerable, but sometimes it's just difficult. I find the French are not necessarily going to go out of their way for you, especially like if you are maybe at a store and you want to buy something. Americans will definitely be like, okay, let me just go look in the back. Let me just see, right? In my experience here, like no one's gonna go see. No one is kind of going out of their way. And so while they're polite here, polite in France and polite in the United States are very different. Also, they are very reserved. So especially if you are someone who is a little bit older, it could be difficult to make friends here. If you are an introvert, it's going to be difficult for you to make friends here, especially as an older person. Most French, from my experience, they've had their friends, since high school and college, and that's kind of like the circle that they keep. I've been able to make a few friends. I don't have a ton of French friends, but I do have French friends, and it has to do with me being, I think, an extrovert, and also I had a partner here who was French when I first moved here, and I don't have a problem talking to people. Like, I will talk to anybody. And I am also a person who likes to get involved in activities. So I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to take a dance class. Anywhere I am going to try to, adjust. And I always talk to people. Like, I've been fortunate because I think I always talk to people. So yeah, the French can be a bit difficult sometimes. When you move matters, okay? Timing matters. The girls, they moved in September, which is still, it's a good time, but then it's kind of like a busy time because it's not tourist season. The weather's good, right? It's not tourist season, but everything is happening very fast. The kids are, the parents are getting their kids back to school. People are going back to work. Like, we've just gotten back from summer vacation, and there's a lot going on at the same time. So your experience moving in like summer or fall is going to be very different from your experience moving in winter, spring. Spring is very rainy. I would not move here in the spring. I would probably move like, summer or fall. Winter, it's cold, it's gray, it can be very depressing. Also, I feel like we kind of have the tendency to hibernate in winter. People are just not outside as much. And those of us from warmer climates, it can definitely take its toll because it's like gray every day. It's gray every day, and rarely do we get sunshine. And it's a season ripe for like seasonal depression. Also, keep in mind, we are in the middle of the pandemic. And one of the girls, she mentioned that. She was like, look, it's hard here. I know it. But, we are also in the middle of the pandemic. So I kind of get that. And she's absolutely correct. Everyone has gone nuts. And it's not just in France, right? I noticed the same thing when I look at the news in the United States. I was just in California. Everyone's weird now. So we're in the middle of this pandemic. Everyone's trying to adjust to the different rules and regulations. And, it feels like everyone is just trying to figure it out. So that has contributed, I think, to her experience here as well. And even me, who has been here for 9 years now, It's, I was at the grocery store yesterday and everyone just was so weird acting. And it's like, what is happening? I think I may be weird too. I was very annoyed at the grocery store yesterday. Um, I felt like everyone was too close to me. It just was an awkward situation. And so I was like, okay, I need to start getting out more because I should not be this annoyed with people being close to me. But this is another story. So yes, timing matters. When you move matters. I would suggest moving in the summer or in the fall. Another thing or another scenario that can kind of contribute to expat blues is sometimes living in France feels like you are living in a developing country. Um, the French aren't necessarily efficient at things, right? Things that we do in the United States on the computer, the French are still like writing out by hand. So that can be a very frustrating, a frustrating experience. I think the French or France is known for their bureaucracy, and that kind of contributes to it. The fact that it's very rigid. There's not a lot of thinking outside of the box. For example, and this was right when the pandemic began, I had cash and I wanted to deposit it to my account. A lot of banks don't have ATMs outside where you can deposit money. You can withdraw, but you can't deposit. I don't know why the machine wouldn't be able to do the same thing, but this is France, right? So I had cash. My bank, the bank, my bank that's closest to me, they don't have a distributor where I can deposit money. So I call customer service and I'm like, where can I go and deposit money? I have things I need to pay, but I only have cash. And the woman says, well, where did you get the cash from? Are you serious? Like, what does that have to do with anything? Just tell me where the ATM is. And she's like, oh la la. I mean, and she goes into this whole thing. And then I go into this whole thing and we are literally on the phone. Well, madame, I'm just asking. And I'm like, that is none of your business. You just need to tell me where the ATM is. It does not matter where I got the money from. So yes, sometimes living here can definitely feel like you are living in a developing country. Okay, so lastly, I think Black women's experience here is a bit different from our white counterparts, right? Most of my expat clients are Black women. And I would say the main reason that our experience is different is because usually we only have ourselves to rely on. So it's not like, we're not here like Emily in Paris. Most of us are kind of getting it out the mud, right? Like we are doing whatever it takes to be able to secure a contract, to secure housing, and whatever else we need here to make our lives comfortable. Obviously, if you come here with a ton of money, then your experience is going to be ideal, okay? Because money talks everywhere, okay? But if your resources are average or limited, it definitely is going to take a little bit more grit to be able to assimilate here. Contrarily, I will say this, Black women get here and we get into our entrepreneurial bags, okay? And I think it's because this country kind of forces us to do that. I know I have many friends here, Black women, who have created thriving businesses and are doing very well for themselves here, as far as the businesses that they've built. And they may not have had the gumption to do it if they were in the United States. So I will say that I do feel like the pressure that we incur when we get here pushes us to be a lot more creative and a lot more entrepreneurial. Okay, so in close, I know I said a lot about Paris and a lot about France, and you're probably thinking, why the hell should I move here? When it's all said and done, right? It's a great city. It's a great city, and you know, it offers me so much as the quality of life that I want. In the beginning, my experience was just like my clients. You know, I remember being in my apartment in the 18th and like the roof of the bathroom like caved in. It took the woman I was renting from a year to fix it. Okay. We have a ton of vacation time. You know, we have all these wonderful cafes and cultural events and the food. It is a great life, but it's not easy. You know, it's not easy, and everyone's not built for it. Now, the girl, my client, she's built for it. She's just a little tired, right? But she's definitely built for it. I would say also that, again, everyone isn't built for it, you know, but even if she decides to return to New York, at least she got out here and gave it a go, you know? And that's all I kind of ask of people. You know, everyone's experience is not going to be the same. Everyone's experience is not going to be perfect, but you know what? At least you tried. I have a little cousin she's like 23, maybe 23, 24. She might be even younger. And she's moving to Texas. She just moved to Texas. She just got there last week. And she called me, and I've been walking her through it, and I'm so proud of her, because this is the first step, right? This was my journey too. I moved to New York, and then I moved to Paris. And even if she decides to go home, I'm proud that she's getting out there. You know, being in the States, and this is not to talk about, you know, anybody in the States or how people live their lives, but everyone kind of is doing the same thing. You know, it's American culture, right? You get up, you go to work, you drive 2 hours to go to work, then you drive 2 hours to go home. On the weekends, you're just too exhausted. Like you're too exhausted to do anything, so you're staying home, right? You have a nice car, you have a great house, and maybe you're able to also accumulate some things. But your life consists of the house, the car, the commute, the job, and the things, and nothing else. And I was thinking while I was there, I need a little bit more stimulation in that, you know? But look, that ain't for everybody, you know? Some people are very content with that. I'm not. And so I made the move. So, if you are interested in moving to Paris and you need a liaison here and some guidance and coaching, you know where to find me. You can book a service or a consultation at parischicode.com. If you want to see more of the Parisian sites, you need to be following me on the gram at parischicode. And I plan to be back on YouTube and get into my weekly groove, sharing my expat experience living in this fabulous city that I am blessed enough to call home. Thanks for tuning in, and make sure you like the video and subscribe. Talk soon.